12 SUV brands are bleeding inventory faster than a cracked radiator. While manufacturers keep telling you the market is strong and demand is steady, the reality is devastating. Dealerships are slashing prices on SUVs by 25 to 35% just to clear space on their lots. Models that commanded premiums above sticker price 2 years ago are now sitting unsold for months with desperate price cuts. The same brands that expanded production capacity during the pandemic are now drowning in inventory they cannot move. You have been told these are temporary adjustments and strategic pricing moves. The truth is, these SUV brands are in survival mode. In this video, I am revealing exactly which 12 SUV brands nobody wants, why their massive discounts still are not working, and what this collapse means for anyone shopping right now. Make sure you subscribe because what is happening to the #1 brand will shock you, and if you are considering buying one of their SUVs, you need to know this before signing anything. Number 12. Mitsubishi. The Mitsubishi Outlander is experiencing a sales nightmare that dealerships cannot hide anymore. Just 3 years ago, Mitsubishi projected the Outlander would restore the brand's mainstream credibility with its redesign and 3-row seating. Today, those same Outlanders are collecting dust on dealer lots with price cuts exceeding $8,000 in some markets. Walk into any Mitsubishi dealership and you will see inventory stacked so deep that older units are being moved to overflow lots. The depreciation trajectory on these vehicles is borderline catastrophic for current owners. The core problem is market positioning confusion that leaves buyers wondering who this vehicle is for. The Outlander is too expensive to compete with budget 3-row crossovers like the Kia Sorento or Hyundai Palisade when comparing features and warranty. Yet it lacks the refinement, technology, or brand prestige to justify pricing anywhere near Toyota or Honda alternatives. This leaves the Outlander in automotive no man's land, appealing to almost nobody despite being objectively decent transportation. Behind closed doors, dealers are expressing panic about the resale implications. 3-year-old Outlanders are coming back as trade-ins at values so low that dealerships are taking massive losses on their original financing. One dealer in the Southeast confided that Outlander trade-in values have fallen approximately 18% more than projected residuals from just 2 years ago. This kind of value destruction makes financing more expensive and leasing nearly impossible at competitive rates. Number 11. Land Rover Discovery. The Discovery is facing a luxury SUV rejection that is humbling for a brand once synonymous with British prestige. Reliability horror stories have finally caught up with Land Rover's sales, as social media amplifies every breakdown and repair bill into viral content. Owners are documenting electrical gremlins, suspension failures, and infotainment crashes with the kind of detail that terrifies potential buyers. One viral thread documented over $14,000 in repairs on a 3-year-old Discovery, generating millions of impressions and immeasurable brand damage. The financial consequences for dealers are becoming impossible to hide. Inventory carrying costs are skyrocketing as Discoveries sit unsold for 90 days or more. Luxury inventory is expensive to finance and maintain, and when vehicles do not turn quickly, dealer profitability evaporates. Some Land Rover dealers are quietly offering discounts exceeding $15,000 on loaded Discovery models, desperate to free up capital and floor plan space for faster-moving inventory. This creates a vicious cycle of value destruction. Competitive pressure from more reliable luxury SUVs is intensifying as Lexus, Acura, and even Genesis offer comparable luxury with dramatically better reliability reputations. The Discovery offers undeniable off-road capability and distinctive styling, but most luxury SUV buyers never go off-road and increasingly prioritize technology and dependability over heritage. Land Rover's traditional advantages matter less every year to the actual buying public. Number 10. Alfa Romeo Stelvio. Alfa Romeo's gorgeous SUV cannot overcome the brand's fatal weaknesses in the American market. The Stelvio suffers from a dealer network disaster that makes ownership inconvenient even in major metropolitan areas. Many cities have just one or two Alfa Romeo dealers, meaning routine service requires planning rather than convenience. This limited network also means parts availability issues that can leave vehicles stranded in service departments for weeks waiting for components to arrive from Italy. The loyalty vacuum is even more concerning for brand strategists. Essentially, zero repeat customers as conquest buyers rarely return for a second Alfa Romeo. Industry data shows Alfa Romeo has among the lowest repurchase rates of any brand, with fewer than 15% of Stelvio owners buying another Alfa Romeo product. This one-and-done pattern reveals fundamental satisfaction problems that marketing cannot address. Owners appreciate the styling and driving dynamics, but are exhausted by the ownership experience. Financial pressure is forcing aggressive incentive spending that undermines the premium positioning Alfa Romeo needs to survive. Lease deals that once seemed impossible are now standard as the brand desperately tries to move metal. Some regions are seeing Stelvio lease payments drop below similarly sized mainstream SUVs, a pricing position that makes no sense for a supposed luxury brand. This discounting attracts the wrong customers while failing to build the prestige image required for long-term viability. Number 9. Lincoln Nautilus. Lincoln's midsize SUV is drowning in a segment it once dominated with the MKX nameplate. The rebrand confusion from MKX to Nautilus still haunts the vehicle years later. Market research shows many potential buyers remain unclear about Lincoln's current naming strategy and model lineup. This confusion is deadly in a competitive segment where clarity and recognition drive showroom traffic. When customers cannot remember model names or differentiate between Lincoln products, marketing efficiency collapses. The incentive addiction has reached crisis levels, with Lincoln unable to sell Nautilus models without massive manufacturer support. Average incentives now exceed $6,000 per unit, and some dealers are stacking additional discounts on top of manufacturer programs. This creates a pricing environment where Nautilus models sell for thousands below comparable Ford Edge models, despite supposedly representing a luxury upgrade. The value proposition makes no sense, signaling deep structural problems. More concerning is the market share erosion happening in Lincoln's traditional strongholds. Even in the Midwest, where Lincoln once commanded loyalty, buyers are defecting to Cadillac, Lexus, and increasingly to premium German brands. Conquest rates are collapsing as Lincoln fails to attract buyers from other luxury brands while simultaneously losing its own customers to competitors. This two-way hemorrhaging of market share suggests a brand in terminal decline unless dramatic action is taken. Number 8. Volkswagen Atlas. Volkswagen's big bet on American-sized SUVs is failing despite building the Atlas specifically for this market. The initial sales momentum has completely evaporated after a promising first 2 years. The Atlas launched with genuine competitive advantages in space, pricing, and features. But that honeymoon period has ended, and reality is setting in. Dealers report month after month of declining foot traffic for Atlas specifically, even as SUV shopping remains strong overall. Buyers are actively choosing to skip Volkswagen showrooms entirely. Underlying this sales decline is a reliability perception problem that Volkswagen cannot shake. Consumer Reports and J.D. Power consistently rank the Atlas below average for dependability, citing electrical issues, transmission problems, and premature wear on interior components. These ratings confirm buyer suspicions that Volkswagen's quality control remains problematic despite years of promises about improvement. Online owner forums document frustrations with recurring problems that dealers struggle to diagnose or fix permanently. The financial impact appears in inventory bloat that has dealers panicking about carrying costs. Some Volkswagen dealers report having 4 to 5 months of Atlas inventory, more than double the healthy level for efficient operations. This overstocking forces aggressive pricing that destroys residual values and makes leasing economics terrible. The depreciation curve on Atlas models is steeper than nearly any competitor, a reflection of weak demand in the used market that ripples back to affect new vehicle pricing and lease rates. Number 7. GMC Terrain. The Terrain is experiencing a market rejection that GMC did not see coming after years of steady sales. The pricing strategy backfire has left the Terrain trapped between cheap and premium, with no clear identity. When it launched at accessible price points, the Terrain sold respectably as a value option. But GMC's attempts to push pricing upward to improve margins have backfired spectacularly. Buyers shopping at Terrain's current price points expect more refinement, technology, and brand prestige than GMC delivers. Meanwhile, value shoppers have moved to genuinely cheaper alternatives. This identity crisis manifests in declining transaction prices that reveal weakening pricing power. Despite window stickers climbing, actual transaction prices have remained flat or declined as dealer discounts erase manufacturer price increases. Industry analysts note that Terrain models are selling for approximately 9% below manufacturer's suggested retail price on average, one of the highest discount rates in the compact SUV segment. This gap between aspirational pricing and market reality reflects a vehicle nobody wants at its intended price. The same brand cannibalization problem makes GMC's situation worse. The Acadia offers more space for minimal additional cost after incentives, while the compact SUV market offers dozens of alternatives at every price point. Rational buyers shopping GMC cross-shop the Acadia and often conclude the larger vehicle offers better value. This internal competition cannibalizes Terrain sales while doing nothing to grow GMC's overall market share. The brand is essentially competing against itself for the same shrinking pool of loyal GMC customers. Number 6. Nissan Armada. The full-size SUV market is brutal, and the Armada is getting destroyed by better competition. This body-on-frame dinosaur represents everything wrong with Nissan's product planning. The platform dates back over 15 years, with only superficial updates attempting to hide its age. Underneath the revised styling sits fundamentally dated engineering that buyers can feel immediately in the driving experience. The Armada drives like a vehicle from another era because it essentially is one, no amount of cosmetic refresh changes that reality. Fuel economy disaster is driving away environmentally conscious buyers and anyone who does math at the pump. The Armada's mileage ratings are embarrassing in an era of turbocharged efficiency and hybrid options. Some owners report real-world highway mileage in the low teens, making long road trips an expensive proposition. As fuel prices fluctuate, Armada sales move inversely. Every spike in gas prices triggers immediate sales drops as buyers flee to more efficient alternatives. This volatility makes inventory planning impossible and forces reactive pricing. Inventory stagnation has created a crisis at Nissan dealers who allocated floor space for Armadas expecting steady demand. Those same vehicles now sit for months waiting for the rare buyer seeking this specific combination of size, thirst, and dated engineering. Some dealers have stopped ordering new Armadas entirely, preferring to sell out existing inventory rather than commit to additional units. This dealer resistance signals deep market problems that manufacturer incentives alone cannot solve. Number 5. Dodge Durango. The aging Durango is running out of road despite years of defying conventional product cycle wisdom. This platform has been around so long that some original buyers are now driving their second or third generation of essentially the same vehicle. Stellantis keeps applying fresh paint and updated technology to underlying architecture that dates back to the early 2000s. At some point, no amount of lipstick changes the fundamental reality that this is an old vehicle in a segment that moves quickly. Engine options are disappearing as electrification regulations tighten emissions standards. The powerful Hemi V8 options that define Durango's performance identity are being phased out, removing the primary reason enthusiasts chose this SUV over more modern alternatives. What remains are less powerful, less characterful powertrains that do nothing to distinguish Durango from dozens of competitors. This strips away the vehicle's unique selling proposition while simultaneously failing to attract buyers prioritizing efficiency or electrification. Inventory pressure is mounting as production continues while demand softens. Stellantis has not committed to a true next-generation Durango, creating uncertainty among buyers and dealers about the vehicle's future. This uncertainty depresses values and makes buyers hesitant to commit to a platform that might be discontinued or dramatically changed in the near term. Some dealers report potential customers explicitly asking whether Durango will continue, then choosing competitors when answers are vague or non-committal. Number 4. Volvo XC90. Volvo's flagship is facing a luxury SUV market rejection that contradicts its excellent press reviews. Despite automotive journalists praising the XC90's Scandinavian design, safety technology, and upscale interior, actual buyers are not responding. The gap between critical acclaim and market performance reveals a fundamental disconnect between what reviewers value and what drives purchase decisions. Journalists love the minimalist aesthetic and safety focus, but buyers want technology, performance, and brand prestige that the XC90 does not deliver relative to German competitors. Reliability concerns are quietly spreading among potential buyers despite Volvo's safety reputation. Consumer Reports rates the XC90 below average for dependability, citing electrical problems, infotainment glitches, and issues with the advanced driver assistance systems that are supposed to be Volvo's strength. These reliability questions undermine the brand's core promise of safety and Swedish quality. When owners cannot trust the systems meant to protect them, Volvo's entire value proposition collapses. Resale value weakness is emerging as a serious problem for current owners and lease customers. 3-year-old XC90 models are depreciating faster than German luxury competitors despite comparable original pricing. This value gap makes leasing more expensive and total ownership costs higher than anticipated. Financially savvy buyers are running calculations and choosing alternatives with stronger residual value projections. This creates a downward spiral where weak resale values discourage new purchases, which further weakens used vehicle demand and accelerates depreciation. Number 3. Jaguar F-Pace. Jaguar is watching its only successful SUV collapse in real time despite initial strong reception. The F-Pace represented Jaguar's future when it launched, generating genuine enthusiasm and bringing new customers to the brand. But that momentum has completely evaporated, leaving dealers with inventory nobody wants at any reasonable price. The depreciation trajectory on F-Pace models is among the worst in the luxury segment, with some 3-year-old examples losing over 50% of their original value. This value destruction makes rational ownership impossible and lease arithmetic absurd. Quality concerns have exploded into a full-blown crisis that Jaguar cannot contain. Owner forums document electrical problems, transmission issues, infotainment failures, and premature wear on expensive components. Some owners report multiple extended service visits for problems dealers struggle to diagnose or repair permanently. This erosion of confidence is devastating for a brand that positions itself as premium. When quality does not match pricing, luxury brands lose the one thing they cannot afford to lose: trust. The dealer network problems compound ownership difficulties for the declining number of F-Pace buyers who take the risk. Many metropolitan areas have just 1 or 2 Jaguar dealers, making routine service inconvenient and emergency repairs potentially problematic. This limited network also means parts availability issues that can extend service visits from days to weeks. Owners report frustration with loaner vehicle availability and dealers unprepared to handle the service volume that quality issues generate. This combination of unreliability and service inconvenience creates an ownership experience that ensures buyers never return. Number 2. Maserati Levante. Maserati's SUV experiment is failing spectacularly after years of missed expectations. This supposed luxury SUV cannot escape reliability nightmares that haunt every Levante owner. The vehicle suffers from electrical gremlins, transmission problems, suspension failures, and infotainment crashes with frequency that would be unacceptable in a mainstream brand, much less in a 6-figure luxury vehicle. Online forums are filled with owners documenting repair visits, some logging multiple trips to dealers within the first year of ownership. This epidemic of quality issues has destroyed any remaining confidence in Maserati's ability to build reliable vehicles. The financial disaster extends to depreciation that destroys wealth faster than almost any vehicle on the market. Levante models lose value at rates that make luxury car depreciation look modest by comparison. Some 3-year-old examples are worth less than 50% of their original manufacturer suggested retail price, and 5-year-old vehicles approach 30% of original value. This wealth destruction makes Levante ownership one of the worst financial decisions in automotive. Buyers who finance these vehicles often owe more than market value within 2 years, creating negative equity traps that make trading out of them financially painful. Market positioning failure leaves the Levante without a clear buyer profile or competitive advantage. It lacks the performance credentials of German sport SUVs, the luxury refinement of British alternatives, the reliability reputation of Japanese competitors, and the value proposition of Korean upstarts. What remains is Italian heritage and attractive styling, attributes that matter to an increasingly small number of buyers willing to overlook objective deficiencies. This shrinking target audience cannot sustain a viable business, forcing desperate incentive spending that further undermines brand prestige. Number 1. Cadillac XT6. Cadillac's 3-row disaster is the most shocking failure on this list because it shows how badly America's iconic luxury brand has lost its way. The XT6 suffers from market confusion that dooms it from the start. Potential buyers are genuinely unsure who this vehicle is for or what problem it solves. Too small to compete with full-size luxury SUVs, too expensive to compete with mainstream 3-row crossovers, and too unrefined to justify true luxury pricing, the XT6 exists in no man's land. This positioning vacuum means it appeals to almost nobody despite being competent transportation. Pricing strategy disaster has left the XT6 simultaneously too expensive and too cheap. Initial pricing aimed at German luxury competitors, but the market rejected that valuation immediately. Now, massive incentives bring transaction prices down toward premium mainstream levels, but this discounting attracts the wrong customers while failing to build luxury brand equity. Some dealers report XT6 models selling below similarly equipped Buick Enclave models despite the Cadillac supposedly being more upscale. This pricing incoherence signals a brand that has completely lost control of its market position. Internal cannibalization problems make Cadillac's situation farcical. The XT5 costs less and is often more desirable to Cadillac's aging customer base who do not need a third row. The Escalade offers genuine prestige and status for customers who can afford it. This leaves XT6 trapped in the middle, cannibalizing sales from Cadillac's other products while failing to attract buyers from outside the brand. General Motors is essentially competing against itself for a fixed pool of Cadillac loyalists, a strategy that cannot grow market share or build long-term brand health. The inventory crisis has reached emergency levels at Cadillac dealerships nationwide. Some dealers report having over 100 days of XT6 supply, an absurd level that ties up capital and floor space needed for faster-moving inventory. This overstocking forces aggressive pricing that further accelerates depreciation and undermines brand value. Cadillac's attempts to reduce production have come too slowly to prevent inventory from reaching crisis proportions. Some dealers are requesting permission to return units to the manufacturer or sell them at auction just to clear space, desperate measures that signal a vehicle in complete market failure. Perhaps most damaging is what the XT6 failure represents for Cadillac's future. This vehicle was supposed to capture buyers in the crucial luxury 3-row segment, a growing market with affluent customers. Instead, it has become a case study in product planning failure and brand deterioration. The XT6's collapse suggests Cadillac no longer understands its customers, its competition, or its own brand identity. When your new products fail immediately upon launch despite massive investment and marketing support, something is fundamentally broken at the strategic level. The XT6 is not just a bad vehicle, it is evidence of institutional failure at one of America's most storied automotive brands. So there you have it, 12 SUV brands going from must-have to unsellable in record time. What this really exposes is how quickly buyer preferences shift and how brutally the market punishes brand and product mistakes. Quality problems, pricing confusion, and lack of clear identity are death sentences in today's hyper-competitive SUV market. The tragedy is that some of these vehicles are actually decent, but they have lost the battle for buyer consideration. In automotive, perception is reality, and once buyers decide you are not worth considering, no incentive can change their minds. Which of these shocked you most? Drop a comment telling me if you would buy any of these SUVs, even with massive discounts. Hit that like button to expose how bad things really are for these brands, and subscribe because the automotive carnage is accelerating and you need to know which brands are next before you make a buying mistake that costs you thousands.